Good evening, folks. Welcome to the 43rd episode of the Ken Matias Sports Podcast. I have NFL draft analyst, buddy Andrade. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right tonight, Ken. How we doing?
Doing well. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate my buddy Keith LePage, our buddy, giving me your information as well. Yeah, like you texted me earlier. I mean, speak about your career. I know you said getting into radio covering the Pats, but figured, the floor is yours and feel free to talk about your career when it first started and your passion for it.
Yeah, I decided in 2003 when I was going to have a child that I always wanted to be able to say I chased my dream,
Mm-hmm.
and my dream always was to work in sports radio.
Yep.
So I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, finished up there. Was the second person out of the class to get a job. I worked at WPRO AM,
Mm-hmm.
the news side for a little while, and then transferred over to sports. I would help them out because they were very short-handed with people going up to training camp and covering
Yep.
preseason games and getting sound. So that's really how I got my foot in the door for that and the experience with sports. Um, it's just, it's all the little things that are awesome because the pay isn't
Yeah.
like great. It's never going to be great in this
I know that,
industry
that
unless you're
that's what
great.
that's what I'm told all the time. People are like, why do you want to get into this? I'm like, I mean, I wish the money was better, but it's just the passion I have for it. But continue with your story.
So, yeah, I mean, what other job is it not going to be you're going to go somewhere, you're going to get fed a monster breakfast, a monster dinner, and
Yeah.
a monster lunch and
Hmm.
cookies at halftime when you cover the Patriots.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, and the friends you make along the way, just the people you work with and the connections still that you have to this day. And it really was. It was a good time. I got in just after the third Super Bowl. 2005 was really my first camp covering it all.
Hmm.
You really get to learn a lot, and you learn the difference between being a fan and this being your job.
Hmm.
Because if you say anything, it's going to get back to them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And
word spreads and stuff.
you want to piss off a 250-pound running back by saying he tapped out of a game, which he did, but whatever.
Yeah.
And they want to follow you around the locker room until you finally turn around and keep your name out my mouth.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, until you've got to answer the bell, there's a lot of people right now. There's people who have sports background and have sports knowledge, but there's people who are out there who are just way in above their skis. It's
Hmm.
almost like Instagram ass models. Like anybody can create themselves as one. So, there's a lot of people out there who have just haven't worked or given the effort you've given or
Yeah.
done what I've done or worked in a student office is, FID doing the lay work um,
Hmm.
for an athletic department. Like the little things to build yourself up. I got a friend of mine, she's the nutritionist at the University of Nevada. She started right from the bottom,
Yeah.
right up, Montana State. They're going to championship. She creates a drink. She's at Nevada now. She's a rock star. She started from the bottom and
Hmm.
she absolutely kicked ass all the way up to the top where she is, and she will continue to grow. Those are the stories I like to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the people that are just kind of handed the gig or, hey, look, you got the talent or the looks for this and you're just gonna fit the part. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, no, and you get people think, oh well, if you go to this place for education, you should get a job over this. Like we're all doing the same thing. How about it's
Hmm.
about knowledge and personality and being able to connect and being able to command a room or have somebody driving down the road and they're not going to remember driving between exits 3 and 7 because they were so glued to your analysis
Hmm.
and what you had to say. You killed 20 minutes of their day. It may have sucked, made it enjoyable,
Yeah.
and brought something to them. That's a big part of this that I don't
Mhm.
think people realize. And as I say that, I see it in your face. You're like, yeah, I remember that time. I was, yeah, yeah, don't remember those exits.
It happens to me all the time because if I'm listening to ESPN Radio 98.5, where I listen to quite often, obviously when I'm my drive home from work, basically, I don't really listen much during the day or whatever, but I'm like, I get glued on Felger and Maz and Jim Murray, and it's like, all right, these guys make good opinions, but sometimes it's like, what a freaking thing to say on the radio, really. I mean, what an a-hole thing to say about certain players or this or that, but it kind of keeps listeners glued, and that's why people call in and bitch and complain all the time.
Yeah, no, it's a
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
you're gonna
usually
have
how it
people who
is.
believe. You have a certain amount against, a certain amount for.
Hmm.
You gotta polarizing wins. I'm not a political person, but you're either like one side or the other, and you are like dug in,
Yeah.
which is absolutely ridiculous. And I hate it with sports being like that.
Hmm.
Like everything the Chiefs do is given to them, this, that, the other thing. Now you look at that roster, there's a lot of really talented football players and good
No, there
coaches.
is. Absolutely, there is.
And as a Patriots fan, we got a lot of breaks along the way.
I know.
Hell
Now we
yeah.
now we know how KC fans are because I remember texting a kid that I worked with last summer. He's my age actually, and he's a big Chiefs fan and he's a local guy. And he's like, yeah, I was kind of like maybe congratulating him after the AFC Championship. I'm like, obviously I wanted the Bills to win, but he's like, yeah, you Patriots fans would say that or whatever. For like, I don't know if I mentioned something about a three-peat. I'm like, yeah, I am being a homer a little bit. You're right. I don't want to see it happen, but kudos to his team and stuff. So I totally get it.
Yeah. And you meet people along the way who cover other teams, and you kind of like being in this. I tell people who to trust and who
Hmm.
not with the reports. Like if this person is saying this, I take it as gospel.
Yeah.
Like just a few seconds ago, I had my heart torn out watching 98.5 when Stu's phone said possibly Drew Holiday for Marcus Smart and a big to
Oh,
save
I
them
didn't even hear that.
6 million.
I was just
Oh
listening
my
when
god!
I was out
I'm
for a
gonna go
little bit.
throw myself off a building.
Oh my God, I didn't
Don't
even
do
hear
that to
about
me.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I heard he could be questionable for tomorrow's game, but I didn't
that's
realize it was like a
exactly why
trade
he's
thing.
questionable for tomorrow's game.
I didn't realize it
Yeah,
was a trade thing.
yeah. So no, you learn who to trust, who's good in this business, who's gonna help you, who's gonna step on your toes.
Hmm.
You know, there's a boat. Some people are rowing, and some people are putting holes in the boat. Kind of that way in any aspect of life. But just covering that '07 team, that was a fun year right up till the end. And I was in like a 2 month depression after that. And it's not because it was because they lost the game one, but I saw the whole thing come together right down to the end.
Hmm.
And just they would have been a brand. They would have,
That
you know,
that
they
that '07 team was interesting, honestly. Seeing it as a kid and them coming up in the Super Bowl was short. That was gut-wrenching for me. That sucked.
mm-hmm.
That hurt.
And there's a lot of guys who have never recovered from that mentally.
Oh, I
Just
bet you like a lot of players and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean Vrabel was part of that too, all right? That
yeah.
was probably second to last year with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, second to last year here. He was
So,
here for the Matt Castle year because it was him and Castle
hmm.
to Kansas City, and I was in the building when that trade happened, and you could have heard a pin drop that whole day. Like, really, Mike Vrabel doesn't play here anymore.
I know that's tough. But staying on course there, I know you were talking about WPRO, and then you transitioned. So who are you recovering the Patriots and oh
WSKO 790 the score in Providence.
oh okay. So you worked with K-Mac or was he not there yet? Kevin McNamara?
He'd like come on. We'd have him, Tom
Mhm.
Curran, um, like a different Sean McAdam when he was at the Pro Joe.
Yep,
Each
yep.
morning we'd have like a different guy come on and talk about stuff. So, we worked in hands with them, people at
Hmm.
Channel 10, like Catherine Tappan, who's at NBC,
Yep.
now doing NBC hockey. She was here. She was there covering camp. Guy you've had
You
on,
worked with
Dan Roach,
Nesson too. Yeah, Dan Roach. Yep, yep. Dan Roach.
just a good guy and a help. But I remember my first day at camp, knew nothing, nothing. And I'm just standing there. And the two people who came over to talk to me, God bless his soul, New Bedford's own Dan Pyers, the Standard Times, and Michael Smith, where I don't know if he's at ESPN now, where he is
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember Michael Smith. Yeah, yeah,
What a guy came over, talked to me,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
goes, "You look a little nervous. Grab a beverage, chill out." All right, yeah, I'll do that. So, you go to put in when you're covering camp, you call back to the station and they give you like a small list of players to try to put a request in,
Yep.
and they'll do a live phone interview. So I walked up to the wrong person. It's Brian Morey, who's one of my good friends now, and I worked with the 790 The Score in the Patriots Hall of Fame. And I was like, I want to put in a request for so and so, and he just looked at me. He goes, "Good idea. Why don't you tell Stacy?" It's like, oh, I was so embarrassed, like the wrong person. So going over to Stacy and putting in a request and making that happen is good. And you're running around the field getting sound from as many players as you could. And
Yeah.
3+ years of that, throughout the locker room, knowing that locker room like the back of your hand. If a guy comes in, you wanted to know exactly where his locker was just in case, um, just to work your sound. And free Papagenos every Wednesday definitely won over with a big guy like me. It's definitely
Hey,
fun.
can't go
But
wrong
Chris
with
Price would
Papa
remember
Gino.
those days if Chris is watching. I used to give him two players from the past on every team who would be the key,
Yep.
and we'd goof about it. That was like our inside joke. So even now, I could text Chris, like if we opened up a Titans next week, I'd be like, we got to shut down Eddie George and definitely got to, double Derek Mason, and he'll laugh back and he knows what I mean by that. But no, those are the little relationships you build
Hmm.
along the way. And it really, really is rewarding. It was a lot of fun. I still dabble in it a lot,
Hmm.
in a different way, but those were some really fun days with good stories. I met some great people. Met some a-holes too, but I met some good people.
Yeah, that's in any industry. And then obviously you texted me like NFL scout school, and then what has that opened up for you, in other words, when you went to the NFL scout school there?
So it was actually Chris Price again. Uh,
The guy like
he
Chris.
knew Dan Hatman, who ran the scouting academy, and I was down. I was sick. I was going to be home on the couch a lot, and I wasn't just going to do anything. So I was like, let me give this school a chance. So I got a hold of Chris, and then I called Dan Hatman and talked to him, and he's like, you start in September. Pay it off 850. We're intense, 16 weeks.
Oh wow.
A lot of evaluation, a lot of terms, a lot of classroom early, but
Hmm.
you're working with some pretty amazing people. And I got a good story about that in a little bit. So you pick like your positions that you kind of have interest with. So I picked line on both sides, offensive and defensive line. So they'll scatter your evaluations. You'll get like nose tackle, a 3-4 D end,
Hmm.
a three technique penetrating defensive tackle, an edge rusher, and just kind of see what their roles are and figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yep.
So you'd watch 5 games, go through, chart everything. What are you seeing? And really, what they're trying to see is if you're going to go too overboard one way or the other with a player who
Hmm.
doesn't deserve to be. Like it's 1 through 7, and if it's a 7, it better be like I was told. That better be effing Miles Garrett. If you're given a 7 back in the day, that's before he's big in the trade now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, we requested.
so I had a Dante Fowler. He was playing with the Jaguars at the time. He's been around the
He,
league.
he was a high draft pick too. He's bounced around, but I forget where he came out of school. I forget it was Florida. I forget.
Florida, he was third overall, and he tore his ACL in practice in rookie mini camp. So he was out his first year. So 16 was really his first year.
Hmm.
So I'm watching him, and he's like terrible against the run. He's like the dog chasing Carr. And, I wrote up, I cut him up really bad in the report. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's like a liability. Like, my problem was I put him as like a 1. Like,
Hmm.
he can't do it, which definitely isn't the case because he's in the NFL this long. So I am wrong. So we have evaluations after a certain amount of time. You get on the phone line. So I get on the phone. It's Dan Hatman and Lewis Riddick. And they're like,
Oh wow,
hey,
yeah, Lewis Riddick. He's been in GM
yeah,
available.
Monday Night Football, the
Yeah,
whole bit.
yeah.
Great
He's
guy.
been.
Still one of those guys, if you text him, he'll always say hi and remember who you are.
Oh wow, he seems like a nice guy. Really
Yeah,
down
he
to
is.
earth. It seems like I've never talked to him, but
They're like, hey, John, how's everything going? I said, good. I'm having a really good day. They said, that's about to end. Like,
jeez.
They cut me up for the next 45 minutes. I don't think I got a word in. Dan's like, hey, pretty good. He goes, here's what I did. I handed the game plan to Andy Reid. We're just going to run left the whole game. We're going to do nothing but run at Dante Fowler. I was like, okay. He goes, let me just read some of the things you said, the things I have highlighted. And Reddick's like, yeah, start with the first one. I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to get my ass kicked right now. And yeah, they body bagged me.
Oh, jeez.
Body bagged me, not in a bad way. Like
That
they were,
was during the
you know,
scout school, you mean, when you went?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Like, this, you're saying this about him. What about his hand use on pass? I thought he had a strong arm rush where he'd come through with one and then try to swim around the other. Tried to do that the other time. Well, what about this play here where he went inside with leverage on? All right, yeah, you guys are the experts. I'm learning, but it's a good learning.
Yeah.
I'm getting caught up, but it's what I deserve. It's what I did wrong, how I evaluated it, and not everything is super or negative. Like not everything's a 7 or a 1. Things can be a 5, 4, 3, 2.
Is seven the highest or 10?
Yeah,
Yeah,
7 is like
seven's
off
like
the
perfect.
charts. Like
Yeah.
you said, unless you're effing Miles Garrett, I don't want to hear edge rush bend, at a 7 on any player in this whole entire league.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was fun. 16 weeks. My partner, he's with the Chiefs now,
Wow.
uh, college and pro scout. A lot of the guys I went to school with are around the league, and I just wanted to do it to help enhance my credibility with the NFL draft.
I figured you
So
would have got a job with the knowledge you know. You know what I'm saying? Not the
at that
Pats,
time,
let's say, but some other team.
yeah,
You know?
no, family wise at the time, it wouldn't have worked out. I mean, me going to work in Tampa for like $200 a week
Oh
wasn't
my
like
God,
you
no.
talk like we
Yeah.
talked about with you earlier. Like it's got to be something that
Yeah. Having
you
a
know.
family is important to me. Having my wife and my son is totally important to me. That's number one priorities right there.
So I went and worked for a draft site, and I took over as their lead scout for the NFL draft.
Hmm.
So I worked with a guy, DJ Boyer. I called him the Cal Ripken of 7 round mock drafts. He was unbelievable. Just rip off a 7 round mock draft like off the top. He was insane. It was awesome. It was porn to me. It was incredible. So we worked pretty well for a couple of years, and he had to sell. But at that time, they were doing all 4 drafts, and there was a lot of traffic, just a lot, not a lot put back into the company. But I'd go cover a pro day, and I went to Bryant
Hmm.
in 2019, and I'm getting hit up by this guy on Twitter on my DMs, and he's like, "Hey, what did this guy run in the 3 cone?" I'm like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, who are you? Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I'm so and so from the Saints."
What?
Okay. He's like,
That would
"What did
catch
he
my
run?"
attention. What?
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You." They listed all the media people there, and there's only like 3 of you. And I figured I'd contact you. I was like, "Thank
Okay.
you very much." He ran a 6.96. He goes, "Verified?" I said, "Yeah, 6.96 cone." So they were very happy about that. So one of them's in Canada, and the other one's still on the Lions roster, who's a wide receiver, Tommy Kennedy. He played lacrosse.
Oh, really? Well, I haven't
Yeah,
even heard of him. Tommy Kennedy. He must be like either on the 53 or like a practice squad guy.
he's one of those elevated practice squad guys.
Yeah.
Never caught a touchdown, but threw a touchdown. How's
Oh,
that
there you
for
go.
you in an
Oh, all
NFL
right.
game?
That's pretty good.
One of those really good athletes, but a guy who sticks around for a while because he's good at the game, and
Hmm.
I'm sure Campbell just loves his mentality being a lacrosse guy. So th- that's one of the things with evaluations that just if you want to proceed or whatever, if you got any track you want to go down, this is your house, not mine.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I appreciate you talking about the scout school and with your background and stuff. I know you were talking about you helping Chris Price with some of his work with the Globe and stuff. And Chris is a super nice guy. I've listened to the podcast that he does with Chris Hogan, and obviously I wish I had Chris Hogan on my podcast because he's so football oriented. I know he's a lacrosse guy too, so I mean, I'm glad they're both doing well. Yeah, I know you mentioned another thing too. I know switching gears,
Yeah,
Denver
just the
Sports.
thing with Chris Price, like, he'll send me over four players, like, who's the fifth who matches this for an article?
Hmm.
I'll just kind of pull a guy like, hey, this guy out of Clemson, I think he
No, that's great
would
that
fit the
he
group.
has a go-to. Like you're his go-to guy of, hey, who's this guy, you know? But I think Keith might have brought this up to me too. Denver Sports Radio as a host and co-host and insider. Like, speak about that.
Yeah.
'Cause
So when I was working,
That's pretty cool, honestly. And you did that remotely, or did you live out there for a little while?
how's this for you? From the comfort of the living room.
Oh,
Um,
what? That's awesome.
so
That's
don't
cool.
forget, a lot of things changed with COVID.
Yeah.
Things were different. People could work anywhere.
I
It
wouldn't
was like
mind
a
it, but then it's like
ridiculous.
a work-life balance if you work from home or I'm an int or what is it, extrovert, whatever. I like to speak to people. So I like to be around people and then come home, be with my family and stuff. But working from home, that'd be kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, no, it is. And so, I come on, I was their draft guy, and then I turned into the NFL guy, and then they brought me on for other sports, and they called me up to like, hey, do you want to host? Because we're Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. I'm like, you serious? I'm like, yeah.
Was it like a 6 to 10 morning show? It was like a an average
It was 2 hour morning show
2 hour. That's cool though.
and morning drive. So,
People are driving away.
you
Oh,
yeah, people are driving to work, listening to you, and what you're trying to do is I'd put together something that night, and I'd get up super early,
yeah, because
just
of
in
the
case
mountain
something
time.
like that Doncic trade would have happened overnight
Hmm.
when I was working, and I totally got to flip everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I went into it as somebody who had been a producer before, like all my own music. I wanted my bump music to represent what we were going to talk about, like little hints,
Hmm.
like see if people caught on to stuff. And yeah, I get to host the Avalanche Championship Parade
Oh yeah, a few seasons ago. Yep.
from the comfort of my house in Westport.
Wow.
And people hit me up on Twitter going, hey, can we meet you for a beer? I'm like, get on a plane, man. I'll, I'll go for a beer. What are we doing?
Can I meet you for a beer? No, you can't.
Yeah. And, opening day for the Rockies, which is nothing like the Red Sox, but,
Yeah.
just, and always finding guests. But to me, it's like, if I would do a show and we were going to talk about the Super Bowl tomorrow,
Hmm.
everybody wants to talk 3P. Everybody wants to talk Mahomes,
Yeah.
Hurts, Saquon,
Like,
Kelsey. You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the stud defensive tackle that we have in this game between Jalen Carter and
hmm.
Jordan Davis and Chris Jones on the other side.
Yeah.
Those guys are all going to force quarterbacks off the spot, disrupt the run game,
Hmm.
and you're going to have to game plan for them. If you don't before game, you're going to have to make in-game adjustments. And that's going to be the beauty of this game. And that's why I can't pick a winner yet. I'm still trying to figure out, like,
I think it
Joe
might be
Toop.
close getting on the Super Bowl topic, but I don't know if it's going to be that 38-35 that we've seen 2 years ago. But
No,
no, you think it's going to be like a blowout, one-sided, or you
no, no. I think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be high score. And I don't think we're
it
going to
was.
get into that fourth quarter. You get the ball, you're going to score. Let's see if they can match it.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like backyard football, where everybody's got everybody figured out and everybody knows what.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of the best players in this game play in the trenches, and it's going to be so good. And I hope they're able to highlight their abilities and explain it well enough. Brady's gotten better over the course of the year. The
I
letting
know
him
there's a
power,
lot of knocks on him. I mean,
still not,
I know. I've only done high school stuff broadcasting, and that's even difficult. But never mind doing an NFL or a college game. I'd be out of this world nervous, even though I might know what I'm talking about. But it comes and goes. He'll live out hopefully his contract. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it comes down to just charting your players, knowing what they do, asking the specific questions. I did a year of play-by-play down the Cape. That was a really good learning experience.
Would you do it for the Cape Cod League?
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's
that
all volunteer, and it is
I uh I
super enjoyable.
dabbled in that 2 years ago, but I was working for Wareham Cable Access doing that, and it was just videography work. I got to meet some scouts. I was on first base side. I'm like, I had a blast. Got to do some graphic work. Met a kid that just from Connecticut, went to Virginia Tech actually, and he's big into broadcasting. I think he just got either a job or an internship with the Salem Red Sox, so he'll be doing that this upcoming spring slash summer. So yeah, you meet a lot of good people down there.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying paying your dues and not being, the Instagram ass model. Hey, I'm this. Like, I'm a sports talk show host. No, no,
Yeah,
really,
I get it. Like
really
they're
you're not.
just handed this stuff. I get what you're saying.
So yeah, I tried out for PFF, didn't get the job.
Yeah,
Pro
yeah, I
Football
wanted to bring
Focus.
that up because I know we're short on
Oh
time.
God, I want to talk about an ice cream headache. Wow, 8 hours of a Sunday, and I took on just you pass it up to somebody else. All you do is tell everybody on the field and exactly where they're lined up and what they're doing, so that they can grade.
Really, that's
May have value. So, but is this guy 7.5 or is he 8 yards off the line? Is he a free safety or a strong safety? These are the arguments you get into in the classroom part.
and how do
When
you
they
get on the
snapped,
rankings too? Like Christian Gonzalez, let's say he's 10th out of 30, 40 corners in the league, which there's probably more than that, obviously. But like I've always wondered, like PFF grade. I think I heard it on like sports radio a lot. I'm like, why do these guys just care about the freaking PFF grade all the freaking time?
where you see it at Sunday Night Football.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and you know why? Who owns the company?
NBC owns them,
Well,
yeah.
Chris
Right?
Collinsworth owns the company.
Wait, he owns what?
PFF.
Oh, PFF, yeah, yeah. But Florio's the PFF guy, isn't he?
No, Pro Football Talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting
Him
confused.
and Chris Sims
Yeah, yeah.
do Pro Football Talk. Chris Collinsworth actually owns Pro Football Focus.
I don't think
That's
I knew
insane.
that. Holy crap.
Yeah. So why do you think they use it a lot on Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, he
So
does the games
hey,
and
I'll take 1 million less to promote my company and
yeah.
push up my subscriptions and have people interested.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So
And
little
that's
things.
been around for a little while, at least, what, 8 to 10 years, if not longer.
Yeah, that they've really gotten into it. And
Wow.
even now, if you go into the NFL draft spot, like the stuff I'd evaluate, was this guy an outside linebacker? Was he a this, that?
Mhm.
So that's the fun of it. But no, it's definitely been a fun run in this. I'm not done with anything.
No, no, that's good. I mean, with your knowledge and stuff, I mean, uh, I'm bringing up Keith again. Should you take the credit or does he know his stuff too? Because I know he knows his stuff.
No, he knows his stuff. He
Yeah,
absolutely
no,
does. He's incredible.
no, he is. I'm like, damn, I just don't know why he just doesn't get into it. But
Yeah, no, he's incredible. He's
I was gonna
absolutely
say,
incredible.
you and him like remind me of like these two guys just know like no sports in general. Like that guy will know a prospect in like double A, and I'm like, dude, who was he? Like, like I think a prime example. I used to go to a lot of Pete Bruins games with him, and he told me about what is it, Shesterkin from the Rangers. I'm like, who the freak is this guy? And he's like
Mhm.
telling me about him, or like, hey, this guy's gonna be something one day. And I think he was right, but can't remember exactly what he said. But I'm like, this guy's ringing a bell. I'm like, holy crap, we used to see him in Hartford, well, in
Yeah,
Providence.
yeah,
But
playing for the Hartford team. Yep.
yep. Any final things? I know we're short on time because Zoom only gives me like 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, just
I know you
you
wanted to
have
get to the Pats and NFL draft talk, but I don't think I'm gonna have
yeah,
enough
no
time for
problem.
that.
Maybe we'll hit up another time and do an NFL draft show. I don't mind that.
Yeah, definitely
Kind of
before the
going
draft.
through everything today.
No,
I
I would
was
love that. I know you're in the middle of stuff, so
so I am. Yeah, if you want to do this, do it the right way. There's places you can call to just get your foot in the door and really work how things are fundamentally done. Find a high school.
yeah,
Go coach youth.
I've already done that with like broadcasting and stuff in the past.
Yeah, and they like it. They like having somebody interested in pushing their product out. So if
Yeah.
you go do that, it's mutually beneficial, and
No,
that's what you're looking for. Is my dog? All right, really.
but no, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for coming on.
All righty. You guys have a good day. Thank you everybody for listening, and have a great night.
You too. Thank you.